What is the most dangerous thing people don't realize is all that dangerous? Being knocked out. I guess a lot of people know that it is dangerous, but probably a good amount don't. We see it in movies all the time. People punched in the head with fists, chairs, pistols, etc., then they wake up somewhere else, with maybe a minor headache, but are pretty much good to go. I am not a doctor, but I can only assume that sustaining head trauma that is enough to render you unconscious is something pretty serious. You have to go to a hospital after something like that, you don't just walk it off. Also, fighting in general is quite dangerous, yet you see people getting in physical altercations all the time, for minor things. I have seen a video in my hometown where one guy punches another in the head, who then falls down back on his head and just starts twitching. There is a very good chance that the guy just ruined his own life and the life of the other dude. And for what? Because he looked at him funny or something. Concussion is no joke. And if there is more force in the blow, you get risks of skull fracture, neck injuries, facial fractures, cerebral bleeding due to blood vessel rupture, or outright traumatic brain injury. In general, losing consciousness, without being very drunk, etc., means something is very, very wrong. Someone lying twitching is extremely bad news. This tastes kind of funny, oh well. Food poisoning can fuck you up big time. You can permanently damage your body. If something doesn't taste right, stop eating it immediately. When in doubt, throw it out. I got food poisoning from sushi. I was on the pooper and had stuff coming out of both ends for close to 24 hours. By the end of it, I was so dehydrated and dizzy, I could barely walk. Clothes and water, specifically long dresses like wedding dresses. Lots of people have died doing wedding shoots in shallow waters at the beach, or rivers, or even swimming pools. Those dresses get very heavy, catch lots of drag, and easily tangle around limbs. As a fun historical fact, drowning in the Tudor period was a common way for women to die for this reason. Women would often be collecting water, washing clothes, or doing other jobs, which meant they were near water, and clothes were often wool, which is heavy when wet. Coupled with the fact that most of their clothing was long, the scenario you describe was often too common if the woman lost her balance, became tired through labor, or through just plain bad luck. Lots of people don't take gun safety seriously. You always assume a gun is loaded, check it yourself when it handed to you, and never ever point a gun at someone whether is loaded or empty. Water. Not even joking, Eve been sent photos by people who had the grand idea of placing a swimming pool on the balcony of their third-floor flat and showing them filling it. They get annoyed when I tell them to stop right fucking there and empty that shot before they kill someone. Because some people don't understand that water is pretty fucking heavy, and when you put a 5,000L swimming pool on your balcony, you've essentially parked a tipper truck on it. The smell of rotten eggs is well known, that means a gas leak. What is not well known is the smell of rotten fish is equally as dangerous in a house. The smell of rotten fish in a house is almost always followed by an electrical fire. I had this happen in an office with maybe 30 coworkers. We came in on a Monday morning, and it stank so bad. Everyone was convinced there was a dead mouse/rat in the wall. But I kept saying, I think it has that stink, but also smells like burnt plastic. The closest thing I could relate was a soldering iron touched something wrong, like my older brother goofing off burning a hole in a toy. It turns out it was totally a wire fucking up. I think the fire department came out and carved off a chunk of wall. Can't exactly remember, it might have been they had to cut up the wall because the computer/gear was touching the wall. My friends were mystified, how could you tell it wasn't a mouse? But it totally just smelled like something died, plus the burnt plastic smell, to me. Weirdly, years later, found out I'm a super taster/sniffer and got trained as a taste panelist for cereal. Walking as a pedestrian in NYC. I see so many people 3 feet from death on a weekly basis. I have personally saved 3 people's lives in the past 2 years when this series of events happens. A. The person was looking at their phone waiting to cross the street. B. People next to them start to cross the street, but the person didn't realize the people they were next to them were jaywalking and they were doing it quickly to thread the needle between cars. C. Person on phone assumes the light has changed and start walking, but slowly. Since the others are going fast, they will make it, but the person on the phone is casually walking across and will get smashed by the car. D. Me. Grab their shoulder while yelling, "Watch it." If you don't yell, they instantly get mad at you. If you yell this, they get surprised and shocked. Still not looking at the car that is about to hit them. None of the 3 people I mentioned below even said thanks. The pin setters in a bowling alley. They are well over 1,000 pounds of mechanized death by steel and moving belts. Some of the scariest moments of my life have been me running/slapping the 6-foot between me and the emergency shut-off behind the front desk as a toddler runs, slipping and sliding, down the lane while their parents or guardians are laughing by the table because they thought it was cute. Even experienced pin setter mechanics have been crushed to death during scheduled maintenance. Pin setters are machines of convenience, entertainment, and death. Ice/black ice is extremely dangerous. My grandpa was putting salt down after an ice storm the day after Christmas. My dad was in town visiting and insisted Grandpa stay off the ice. Grandpa fell right in front of my dad, hit his head hard. Woke up once in the hospital when my grandma was by his side, and then passed. When I see those fail videos of people slipping on ice, I cringe. I grew up in the upper Midwest. Often gets to -30 there in winter. Lots of snow and land of 10,000 lakes, so lots of ice and ice fishing. We did a winter survival course every year in elementary school. They taught us to test ice by throwing things and listening to the sound. Taught us how to lay down and distribute out weight on cracking ice. Taught us about hypothermia and paradoxical undressing and what to do when you first spotted the signs/how to help someone else if you found them in that condition. What to have in our cars for emergencies when we eventually would get cars. What to do if you're trapped in a whiteout snowstorm, both if you were in a car or already on foot. Then they'd take us all day to a state park and we had to start fires ourselves, determine if something was ice, learn how to walk around in all the gear, and how to navigate to some degree in the forest. Was a really good experience, and even just being so cold and exhausted at the end of the winter survival day was a reminder of how serious that stuff is even now as an adult. Pressure washers. The more powerful ones can inject water into you through your skin if you put a body part too close to the nozzle. 2000 PSI pressure washer operator here. I showed a colleague that was using it barefoot. Yikes, a stack of cardboard, maybe 10 layers, the stream sliced through all of them in a single pass, clean as a razor cut. Any high-pressure fluid, honestly. My dad used to be an electrician on a nuclear submarine. The reactors use extremely high-pressure steam to move thermal energy around. The pressure is so insanely high that you literally cannot see it if it leaks out of a pipe. If the sensors detected a leak, the way they would search for the leak would be to hold a broom in front of them as they walked around the mechanical systems. They knew they had found the leak when the broom's bristles got spontaneously cut clean off. And hydraulic systems are just as terrifying. If one of the fluid tanks is leaking, it can inject that hydraulic fluid straight into your bloodstream without causing an entry wound. Aside from the obvious danger of having a non-sterilized fluid injected into your blood, hydraulic fluid is highly toxic.